Hello. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Andy. I'm a psychic medium, divine channel, and a mystic. But more than that, I am deeply committed and passionate about consciousness and personal responsibility and understanding how spiritual law operates in this world and teaching that to the best of my ability. I work with people who are navigating transition. So people like Bailey, who feel destabilized, who feel like the ground beneath them is shifting. I don't believe in bypassing reality. I believe in integrating it. I believe in looking directly at what's happening without collapsing into fear and without pretending it's not happening, and also without falling into any kind of parasitic trap, which is what a lot of people are experiencing. And when I saw Bailey's video, I felt called to respond. Not to contradict her and not to dismiss her, but to elevate the conversation into something grounding, empowered, and responsible. This is my purpose. With that said, and before anything else, I want to give Bailey her flowers, because Bailey, I've been watching her for a while. I don't watch every video, but when it comes across my For You page, sometimes it feels really good to follow that impulse. And so Bailey, if you don't know her, she's a YouTuber who tells stories, and she does so while she does her makeup often. And whether it's crime, history, uncomfortable truths, she has created a space where people can metabolize shadow without feeling alone. And that's important. Because what she did in that video wasn't polished, it wasn't strategic, it wasn't calculated, it was raw. It was someone standing in the collective overwhelm and saying, what are we gonna do? Which I've been there, and I know many of you have, and that takes courage. And I want to take a little second to give a little impression on Bailey. I don't want to focus too much on that, but I want to say that her ability to focus on, this is her purpose, focusing on darker themes and helping us integrate it in a way where we're bringing awareness to it, the darker impulses of humanity, you know, how our shattered aspects create all of these offshoots of behavior that are harmful to each other, and her ability to gracefully approach that is exactly why this video came to her. She knows the assignment without even knowing the assignment, and she's using her platform to do so. She deserves all of the encouragement for that. But let's move forward, because I have a lot to share, and this is a response to her video. I respect it. A lot of people are feeling the exact anxiety that she's feeling and that she expressed, but they're too afraid to say it. I went through this destabilization myself as well, especially around 2020, and that's kind of like when I had a big spiritual crack open that sort of opened me up to this work. The anger, the realization that the system may not be what we thought it was. I had to do a lot of the soul searching to understand how to navigate this world without collapsing into paranoia or powerlessness. So if you'd allow me to, let me break it down. Well, I don't need your permission, but keep watching if you want to. Healthcare feels like a trap. Insurance feels like a scam. You pay a lot and you still pay more. You break a leg and then now you're in debt. Like, you go to school and you end up in loans. Like, you follow the rules, you get the grades, you try to invest, you try to buy a house, and the goalpost keeps moving with inflation and everything. Wages don't match the cost of living. We're all aware of this. You can do everything right and still feel like you're drowning. That frustration is real. And here's where we shift. The false securities we were handed are dissolving. And when false security dissolves, it feels like collapse. It feels like betrayal. It feels like the rug pulled out from under you. The rug is pulled out from under you, right? But it's actually initiation. And this was my experience. We are conditioned to believe safety is external. That if we complied with the system, that the system would protect us, that we'd be safe. That if we got the degree, paid taxes, kept our head down, that would be okay. If we played along, we'll figure it out, right? And now we're realizing safety cannot be outsourced, right? Follow me here. I promise you, it's going to make sense. That realization is horrifying because it means no one is coming to save you. At least not the way that we were told. That there's not some government or some structure that's here to make sure that we're held in place. It's actually being utilized and weaponized against us. But it's also that moment that true adulthood begins. That you really start to step into yourself collectively. And as a humanity, you know, there are contractions or birthing pains of what ascension means. And we're, as a collective, becoming more and more aware and awakened. And this is happening on the micro and the macro. So when you realize the structure isn't stable, you're forced to build your own foundation. Not in rebellion and not in hysteria, in like a genuine responsibility. There's a theme in what Bailey expressed, that the wealthy elite, that the 1% in the government don't care about regular people, and damn is she right, okay? We're cattle, we are pawns on the board in their game, yes. There are individuals on this planet that are operating from distorted awareness. A kind of pimp frequency, so to say, of consciousness. They have awareness, but it's twisted and inverted, and it's truly shallow in the material realm. It's almost like a kaleidoscope. Like, everything that you can see because of your empathic ability is all twisted and distorted, and they think that they have the bigger vision than we do, right? And they take advantage of our brokenness with it, and we'll get into that. But they're detached from integrity. They're detached from like the source that inspires people to make the great song, inspires people to make that great invention, inspires people to make that medication or that medical thing that changes the world. They don't have that same brilliance, and that's not something that is just like genius that you learn. That's something that you tap into through integrity and through, like I said, a foundation. They understand leverage. They don't understand divinity. And that's their weakest point. That's why I can sit here and feel good while everybody's freaking out, even though I was freaking out once. There's been a parasite problem on this planet. Not just physical parasites, although that's part of it, but energetic distortions, inversions of divine truth, power separated from empathy, intelligence separated from consciousness. For a period of time, the energetic conditions allow these distortions to nourish, like conditions in your home that make mold, right? Conditions the way you live that allow infestations of critters and shit, right? That's sort of like the collective experience for learning and for growth. That's something, a bridge that we had to cross. This is the middle of the journey. And we probably won't even see the full kind of resolution of it in this lifetime. But that is besides the point. Here's what most people don't see. Your authority is borrowed. They don't own it. They don't. They believe they're directing the world and they're directing you. They believe that they're making big moves. They believe that the joke is on us, essentially. They may even see humanity as cattle. They do, right? They see us as cattle, right? Some of them may hide behind some false sense of humility and actually believe that what they're doing and what they're contributing to is for our betterment, because again, the way that they see things is distorted. But this isn't about them, it's about you. They are cut off from divine intelligence. They operate through manipulation, realized assertion, or power outside of themselves, essentially. Inverted truths. They believe the authority they've been given, money, influence, status, is theirs, and they believe that that's really all there is. And again, it's borrowed. And when you're cut off from divine intelligence, you eventually collapse under your own distortions. That's just the nature of reality. That's divine law. They have gone so far down a dead-end road that their only remaining move is destabilization, and that's why they're ramping up with everything they're ramping up. They want you overwhelmed. They want you fractured. They want you emotionally flooded. Exactly like the raw state Bailey expressed. Because overwhelm creates paralysis. And it stops you in your tracks from realizing who the fuck you really are. Okay? But this moment is not meant to collapse you into powerlessness. It is meant to activate you into responsibility. Division is weaponized. Right versus left. Black versus white. Gay versus straight. Endless boxing matches. Endless outrage cycles. But here's the uncomfortable truth. We're holding the other end of the karmic rope. We're engaging in that. Right? She expresses frustration about this too. We're at the other end of that. We're engaging with it. If somebody wants to fight you, why do you feel the need to go outside and fight them? You know what I mean? Like, why do you feel like you need to engage with it? Why do you feel like you need to change them? In that way, we're saying yes to that invitation. The tension only exists because both ends are engaged. When one end disengages, then they're left fighting themselves. Let that be it, right? And that's something that happens individually and collectively. That's how we kind of lessen the electrical charge or the emotional charge around everything happening, because you think that being louder and jumping in is going to change it. It's not. The tension only exists because both ends are engaged. When you judge someone online, when you dehumanize someone because of their beliefs, when you gaslight someone, when you feel morally superior because you think you're more awake, you are feeding the same distortion you claim to hate. So you cannot call out infestation and participate in it at the same time. Unity does not begin politically. It begins individually and internally. You can't eat an elephant all at once. I hate this analogy, but I'm using it. You can't eat an elephant all at once, right? You need to eat one bite at a time. You cannot demand the world to heal while refusing to integrate your own shit and your own shadow. Yes, our data is trapped. Yes, we are dependent on devices. Yes, manipulation exists. But you are only controlled to the degree that you are unconscious, to the degree that you are fractured, to the degree that you are ignoring your own fucked up ankle that you keep walking and running on. If you do not understand our triggers, they are weaponized against us. If you do not know yourself, you are programmable. If you do not activate discernment or cultivate discernment, you are influenced. You're a zombie. When you understand universal laws, resonance, projection, cause and effect, free will, you can operate within the system or within the systems without being consumed by them or kind of sucked in, right? Into some disempowering, distracted bullshit. You're not sucked into the boxing ring anymore. Your reality becomes dissonant to theirs. You can't run from this anymore. Like, this is not something that only spiritual people are meant to know. We're all spiritual by definition because we're spirits inhabiting a human vessel, and we're all being called to this. You don't have to be a psychic, although we all are, right? That's a part of us that we're afraid to kind of look into. But we have physical sight and non-physical sight for a reason, and there are laws that we can observe that go beyond the Constitution of the United States that can allow you to operate in this world and not be affected by it. It allows you to reclaim that kind of Garden of Eden energy, which is why you see some people thriving in chaos, and they're not thriving in a parasitic way because of the chaos. They're thriving apart from it, and emotionally, and they're secure. They're not shaken by the shit, right? Your song becomes louder than the background noise. Your song becomes louder than the song that they're forcing on you. You carve out a foundation so solid, even if the world around you is unstable, you stand tall. The foundation is built internally. Humanity is like a sleeping dragon. I read this somewhere. I swear, I wish I could find it, but it's so good. Humanity, or the divine collective in humanity, like the godness in us, is like a sleeping dragon. While it sleeps, or while it's sleeping, certain individuals that have separated themselves from the dragon a long time ago, and they kind of have this really sick. I might get another video about this. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments, because I can really break down what they're doing and what they think they are and how they've been operating for years, generation to generation. But they've separated themselves from the dragon, and then they crawl into the lair, and the dragon is sleeping. That's our consciousness. We choose to sleep in a way, and it's also the time to sleep. But they come and they steal our scales because our scales are real special to them. You know what I mean? Like, they know that they can do shit with it. So they rip one scale at a time, then they get greedy, and they want to go and like pluck all the scales. They're coming in one by one. But eventually, maybe that dragon's gonna wake up. That dragon's gonna be like, ow. And the same way we wake up gradually, individually, like in literal sleep, the dragon wakes up gradually. And when the dragon wakes up, they're not gonna stand a chance. And that's real. That's happening, right? They're hoping that they can cause enough damage to the dragon that it goes to a coma or something, but they're like stupid, right? The tail starts to twitch. It starts to shift in breath. One eye opens. You know what I mean? Bailey's emotional response is the dragon stirring itself, right? The rage, the fear, the vulnerability, the embarrassment. This is not collapse. This is consciousness returning. She is waking up to the vulnerability of this world, to the fragility of the systems. Fully, she's waking up to the illusions of safety. And when the dragon fully wakes up, no one is pulling scales anymore, okay? Underneath everything, she's expressed safety, healthcare, without ruin, housing stability, security, community, belonging, everything that she's yearning for. We want to know that if we break a leg, we won't lose everything. That if we work hard, we won't drown. These are human needs. These are basic human needs, and to be honest, they're birthrights. But here's the mirror. Are you giving your inner child safety? Are you showing up for the children in your life? Are you living aligned with what your inner child dreamed of? Your inner child did not want you to be enslaved by fear. And even though these sick fucks will sit over here and distort that inner child wisdom and all of those divine teachings into, very literal and material and horrific things, we can do it the right way. We can gain the real power that's not borrowed, and that doesn't require consistent horrific things in order to continue operating, okay? I'm sorry, I'm reading a script because it's so much that I want to share and I want to stay on topic. Your inner child did not want to be enslaved by fear. Did not want you dimming your light to maintain a distorted family dynamic. Did not want you folding into relationships that shrink you because it's safer than rocking the boat. If you're outraged about abuse, how are you abusing yourself? Through self-betrayal. Where are you gaslighting yourself? People don't like this shit because they don't like to have to turn it on themselves. We love as a humanity in our distorted, broken state to point at somebody else and blame them as the problem, and that's not going to get you anywhere. Where are we participating in karmic entanglement by holding the other end of the rope? The heat in the kitchen is getting hotter, folks. You can't half-ass shit no more, or anymore. My New York came out for a second. You can't cling to creature comforts while the world shifts and pretend everything is fine. When light gets brighter, it illuminates everything in the cracks. Your cracks. It's a mirror. The twisted thought, the ego, the superiority, the jealousy, the judgment, the fear, the righteous indignation. The integration is not about being perfect. And I think with the culture we have now in cancel culture, oftentimes we don't look at the darker sides of ourselves because we're afraid that if they manifest in any way, we're going to be rejected. But we all live with it. It's just some of us are better at hiding it. So integration is not about being perfect. It's about being whole. Just because something is dormant, it isn't influencing your reality. Correction. Just because something is dormant doesn't mean it isn't influencing your reality. I knew something about that didn't sound right. You have to be willing to see it. You must own it before you demand the world to change. So what can we do with this? Like, what is actionable things that we can do with this? Stop giving your power away, right? I know it feels weird to like disengage from it, but if it's only triggering you and triggering your fight or flight or triggering your like feeling of, oh, what the fuck are we gonna do? And this sucks. And oh my God, and this is so fucked up. If it's triggering you in that, remove yourself from it. You're not feeding into it. You're not giving it power. Your attention is giving it power. It's like that one friend that's always acting a fool. Like, if you keep responding to that behavior, they're going to keep acting a fool. We can stop feeding division. We can cultivate discernment instead of hysteria. We can build internally stable foundations. Like, for you, like, we keep thinking about how do we fix ourselves as a humanity. Focus on you, boo. Focus on you. We strengthen our intuition. We develop a relationship with something larger than ourselves. We stop lying to ourselves. We stop lying to ourselves because we don't want to lose that marriage, or we don't want to lose that person, or we're afraid that we're not going to be able to take care of our needs. Like, you have to have faith in something bigger than yourself, and you have to be willing to die for some shit. Like, if me speaking this causes me to die, which, I put my life in your hands, at least I know that I honored what my purpose is in this life, and I'm going home. You know what I mean? If you're afraid of things, if you're afraid of losing your husband because you're afraid of being alone, grow a backbone. Grow a backbone. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Be willing to see everything for what it is. Take off the masks. Sit with yourself. Really develop a relationship with the higher power. Understand how your intuition works, because if you're not, like, leaning into it, then you're walking through this shit blind. Have discernment when you see things that are being thrown at you, programs, ritualistic assassinations that are here to trigger you and create division and suck you into some bullshit for months, distracting you from the actual inner calling and the integration of the things that are coming up in you that are actually going to put you in a position where you're actually making a difference. It's all little things. You don't get one person to build a building. You have a whole fucking team, and each person has their own job. What is your job? If you want to realize that, do the fucking work. I'm not cursing at Bailey. I'm talking to the collective. And this is a conversation I need to have. It's a little tough love, okay? We plant seeds in real conversations. We engage locally instead of like screaming into algorithms, which is what's been happening. We show up for our children, real children or our inner child. We refuse to participate in distortion and lies. We take responsibility for our frequency, because when enough individuals integrate, the dragon does not just wake. It stands and it's like, okay, y'all saw Shrek. Okay, that dragon is the shit. When it stands, borrowed authority collapses. It collapses. It can't exist in the same frequency as us. We literally shove it off like fighting a fever, because we're no longer engaged with it. We're no longer holding the other end of the rope. This is the esoteric answer. This is the real shit. I'm a vessel. I don't take credit for this. I'm grateful enough that I was led to build a foundation that allows me to channel in this wisdom, because it didn't come from me. But this was what I had to figure out when I was sucked into it. I thought Trump was a savior. I'll be honest with you. I thought Trump was a savior. That shit got me fucked up. But it also allowed me to individualize from groups. Gay people didn't want to fuck with me no more. Like, you know, my friends didn't really know how, you know, and it forced me inwards. It did. I went through exactly what she went through. And it helped me to realize my purpose. My purpose is to help individuals who are very gifted find their foundations and build on it, to find their purpose, to find their authenticity, so that what they bring to the world creates a change. Everybody you touch, you're seeding. Everybody you speak to, you're seeding. Like, you can't help but be an extension. That divine brilliance moves through you. You get that idea, you get that movement, you feel that inspiration, and you move on it. And then all of a sudden, you're creating an impact that is creating a ripple effect. And that person is creating a ripple effect, and that person, and we break the fucking fever. Hallelujah. Nothing feels better than breaking a fever. Like, you feel like you could take on the world, like you could lift a car. It's very, like, also, you know, just to close this out, I also want to speak on people that are benefiting, because Spirit is saying, like, if you're participating in the parasitic energy, you're part of the problem. So if you see all of this stuff coming on, and you see the Epstein files as an opportunity for you to gain some kind of notoriety or financial, like, blessing, you know, if you see that as a pathway to abundance, like, you're screwed. That's not Bailey. Like, I can tell, like, she did not want to release that video. It was a deeper thing that caused her to do it. It was like a calling that felt almost not fully integrated. Like, she felt that impulse, and she felt like she needed to bring it to her audience, which was a divine impulse, but you could tell she was very uncomfortable by it. There are people out here on the internet that act like they care, that act like they give a fuck about what's going on, when in reality, it's another interesting thing for them to make a buck off of in the middle of it. With that said, I hope that this does answer your concerns. If you're curious about how this works, I'm not even gonna say if you want to book a session with me, because that's not my intention, right? But if you want me to point you towards resources, or like you want me to do other videos on like how to create your own foundation, right? You can create a world apart from this world. That's literally what we're supposed to do. And then those of us that are aligned in that frequency find each other, and we create a bigger world and a bigger world and a bigger world until it takes over this one. That's the true path through this. That's the only way through this. Empowerment, sovereignty, and realizing our full selves. That's the only way. Because that's the only way where we can't be manipulated or used. There's a reason that parasites thrive at this time. And that's because what we eat and the conditions that we create for ourselves make it possible for them to thrive. Let's change that. God bless. Goodbye.